So the next commandment is Deuteronomy 5, verse 20, which says, "And you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." Um, and I think this has always been an interesting passage for me, because the letter is against your neighbor, and I think there's a very specific reason it's phrased this way, right? Because a lot of times this commandment will get paraphrased, "Don't lie." And I think that is not the best paraphrase. I think this has more to do with not lying to the detriment, like bearing false witness is saying something specifically false about someone, and it's really frequently connected with you're breaking down their reputation. A legal, and I'm not a lawyer. I forget what the definition of libel versus slander is. I'm like 40% sure that one is written and one is spoken. But don't quote me on that, because I'm not a lawyer. And frankly, I try to avoid both, I think. But it's more kind of in line with that, like you're defaming someone's character, you're breaking someone down. And I think there's a reason for that, and I think a better paraphrase would be, don't lie to the detriment of your neighbor. Because I do believe that some lies are not harmful. Some lies can actually build up our neighbor. One example might be a parent might lie to their child. The child says, "Oh, did I do okay?" Like say your child is picking up tennis and they're starting to play tennis, and they come and they say, "Mom, Dad, how'd I do?" And you say, "Oh, you did great." Probably not. If your kid is playing tennis for I'm a tennis player. That's why I'm using this as an example. If your kid is playing tennis for the first time, they probably suck. Like, they're probably not good at tennis, because tennis is not one of those sports that you can just pick up a racket and suddenly you're good. Um, I've played a lot of tennis in my life. I've never been beaten by someone who just decided to start playing. Um, there's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of form. There's a lot of footwork. Like, you have to learn a lot and play a lot to get good at tennis. But you lie to your kid. You say, "Yes, you did great," because they tried. They tried hard. They learned. They're probably better at the end of the day than they were when they woke up that morning. And you lie to them so that they are encouraged, so that they keep going. And they keep getting better. And eventually, you're going to be able to say, honestly, "Yes, that was great." This is something I'm sure when I started playing tennis back in 7th grade, I'm sure I sucked. In fact, probably the first couple of years that I played tennis, I'm sure I sucked. But my parents said, "Oh, you did good. Oh, you had a good practice today. You had a good lesson today." And I'm not going to pretend that I'm great, but in high school, I was pretty good. And it got to the point where my dad could probably honestly say after a match, "You played really well that match." And so all this to say that I genuinely don't think all lies are bad. I think sometimes we lie in such a way that it's not bearing false witness against our neighbor, it's actually building our neighbor up. But the focus here is on the relationship between you and your neighbor. And speaking to them and speaking about them in such a way that you're showing them love regardless. And when we talk about the two greatest commandments, love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself, and we say, well, how does that apply when it comes to your love your neighbor as yourself, in how you speak. So I don't know how much clarity that actually provides, but that's our devotion on not bearing false witness against your neighbor. Go in peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.